Join our knowledgeable hosts as they dive into the captivating universe of comic books, movies, TV shows, and pop culture. Get ready for vibrant discussions and a shared enthusiasm for all things superhero and beyond. A comic podcast straight from the panels. This is Beyond the Capes.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Cape podcast. This is the first episode live. Here we are with my co-host, Alex.
Hey, everybody, this is Marvel Expert Alex.
All right, and today we will be talking about the legendary fighter from the underworld, Ghostrider.
Yes, the legendary Johnny Blaze as our favorite bounty hunter from the underworld.
Yeah, I guess that was his original purpose from Mephisto.
Correct. Right. It was definitely from Mephisto, and then they adapted it to basically Satan, in the more modern times. And from my remembering of the very, very first introduction of Ghostrider was actually, I think it was a completely different character. I think he was a cowboy actually, and he was dressed in white. He looked more like Moon Knight, the first introduction of Ghostrider.
He did.
Yeah.
And just to validate your concerns, or if you were having a fever dream, from my notes, we have that the original was in 1949 by Ray Crank and Dick Ayers, who was an anti-hero for Western times.
Right.
And that's where I think a lot of people kind of saw, and I don't know, maybe it was in a DC animated series or movie that might have occurred. I feel like he has shown up, that version, in the DC animated somewhere. I could be making that up completely, but I feel like he has. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to take your word for it. I don't remember him popping up like in any really version of the DC. Maybe Batman Brave and the Bold.
It's possible. You will take my word for it.
Yes, I definitely will.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that's your first iteration that you remember of Ghostrider, because it did not do well at all. In fact, it was so bad that in 1949, from my notes, he did not even make another appearance till 1967. And that version was Carter Slade, who people might have remember had a brief cameo in the first movie, Mr. Sam Elliott, which I would have loved to have seen a movie with just Sam Elliott as Ghostrider. That's a whole nother, we'll get down that road later today in this episode.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I remember, yes, I do remember that early version of Ghostrider, like just from my memory, but I remember my first introduction to Ghostrider was the Incredible Hulk cartoon back in the 90s when he made a cameo appearance, and he had to like help the Hulk battle like his inner demon that he was fighting or something like that. So
yes, I kind of remember that.
And then he also made an appearance in the Fantastic Four, which was also like tied into the Incredible Hulk in one way or another. So
yeah. Now it's crazy. In the 1967 version with Carter Slade, technically he was still not a demon, I guess. He was a guy who wore a costume with like a blue fire, like skull-like mask. If you look up pictures on Google and whatnot, you'll see it was still not the Ghostrider that we know. That Ghostrider did not come till 1972. Marvel Spot Night number 5, I believe I have in my notes. Yes. And then he immediately started his own series in 1973. And that's where we got Johnny Blaze.
Yes. The most, I think, modern, the most recognizable version of Ghostrider that we currently know of, and that's still, like going in the current comics as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the crazy thing with Ghostrider is, and as we talked before, Johnny Blaze, I think everyone knows, number one, that's one of the greatest character names. I don't think anyone can ever argue Johnny Blaze is like the perfect name. Then we had Danny Ketch, which is weird because I want to say he is related to Johnny Blaze either as a nephew or son, or no, twin brother, I think in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost positive that Danny Ketch, we are going to fact check this really quick because I'm pretty sure that Danny Ketch is the lost brother of Johnny Blaze. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
I think he didn't know it at first that they were related, but it was later confirmed that they were. Let's see. This is gonna kill me if I don't find it, but I'm pretty sure of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. But it's crazy that after we got that modern day, kind of this modern day Ghostrider, it never really changed. Yes, Ketch and Johnny Blaze later learned that they were long lost brothers.
Oh, okay.
So they were indeed related. The only one that really broke the mold then would be Robbie Reyes, which everyone is familiar with thanks to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
That was really his big. I think that might have been, besides the movies, that was the biggest break for Ghostrider outside of the movies.
Yeah, and it was a really great interpretation of Ghostrider. I mean, Johnny Blaze did make a very short cameo in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. When they did the origin story of Robbie Reyes, which is so cool. Like you see him standing over Robbie and the Ghostrider, skull. There's a bullet hole like in his skull. Like you see the little bullets wound there. I mean, which was pretty badass. I'm like, this made me want to really see the MCU's version of Ghostrider, the Johnny Blaze version.
I mean, we have an MCU version, despite what anyone wants to say. And I'll say this now. Nicolas Cage was not bad.
Oh no. No, I thought it was really good too.
Yeah, a lot of people want to bring up the first movie. Which, yes, okay, it was hit or miss, but if you did not see Spirit of Vengeance, that made up for it greatly.
Yeah. I mean, Spirit of Vengeance was a really great sequel to the. I mean, although I feel like they try to reboot it in a lot of ways. With the origin story of when they did a flashback, to his origin where his dad was on the deathbed, and so they changed up just a little bit. Where they try to get a new audience, but they kept Nicolas Cage because really he did an amazing job, and especially really lean into heavily of the Ghostrider, like Hellfire and stuff like that. I thought they did a really great job.
Well, I mean, his dad was technically on his deathbed in the comics and in the first movie, because his dad was dying of cancer, I thought, in the first movie.
Yeah, no, he was. Yeah.
I don't remember them but it's been forever since I watched the second movie. Did they bring that up in the second movie?
Like a very kind of like a graphic, like at the beginning, it was a quick, like a little graphic of his origin, and then they went straight into the movie.
Well,
so.
I guess before we say anything, everyone should know this is a spoiler alert. If you have not seen these movies, this is a spoiler alert announcement. 100%. We are going to spoil it right now because it was weird. In the second movie, technically, the little kid that he was trying to protect was Danny Ketch. I want to say that was the name of the kid.
Okay.
Which was weird because obviously in the comics they're long lost brothers. I mean they're grown men, and they really loosely played off the Spirit of Vengeance inside him, Zarathos, which in the movie they said was an angel. Technically in the comic books it was mentioned it was angel-like, being the Spirit of Vengeance, but overall it was still a demon in the grand scheme of things.
Gotcha. I mean, again, just adding more lore to the Ghostwriter, wanting, to bring in audiences, hoping to expand that storyline, maybe to have in future films, and you never know. I mean, with the multiverse, and maybe we'll get like a reboot of Ghostwriter, with another sequel with Nicolas Cage.
I mean, it could happen. I mean, Nicolas Cage is first and foremost, he is a Ghost Rider fan. I mean, they had to cover up his Ghost Rider tattoo for the first movie when he got like cut, I think, on the arm in the beginning, and Carter Slade like repairs him, and that's how he finds out. Like they had to digitally remove it because he had like
Okay.
a flaming skull on his arm.
Oh wow. Okay. I mean, see, it's even more perfect. The fact that Nicolas Cage hit him himself as a fan. So
Now you could tell that even though Alex is a Marvel fanboy, he is not as big of a fan of Ghost Rider, but Midnight Suns. That was, I'd say, was the critical part of what Ghost Rider did bring, besides Mephisto and like bringing kind of the underworld realm. The Midnight Suns. That for me, I think it's the Justice League Dark version for Marvel. That's the only thing I could really kind of relate it to.
I tell you about the video game.
No, the comic book, the group, the Midnight Suns.
Hold on 1 second. Let me take a look at this. I do believe I read.
Ooh, he's about to lose his Marvel card. Stan Lee is like, you are never gonna sit next to me at the table.
What the heck? Hold on a second. Come on.
Now you probably, if you do look this up, you are gonna see everything for the game itself.
Yeah.
Which did look great. But in Ghost Rider, he was a part of the Midnight Suns and kind of brought that to the Marvel universe.
I see. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yep. I see it.
And that was essentially Marvel's answer for kind of Justice League Dark.
Yeah. Yep. This was Marvel's version of Justice League Dark. Yeah, and I can totally see. I mean, I could see this being a really good like anime. Actually.
I mean, there's a lot you could do with it. I mean, you have so many elements. Technically, if we really want to get into it, you could easily retcon some of this with the Eternals, the Ebony Blade, who was kind of teased at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Alex is familiar with the Dark Knight, but that's another great character. One of the few things that can kill.
Yeah, Ebony Blade. That's with.
So I believe that the Black Knight is the actual character. Kit Harington played Dane Whitman, I believe.
In the Eternals, right?
The Turtles.
No, the Internals.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, wow, the Ninja Turtles. That would be.
No,
I missed a lot of movie. I probably did fall asleep doing the Eternals because there was some room for improvement for that.
it was a bit of a rough watch for me as well.
Kit Harington played Dane Whitman, and he technically at the end, because you hear Blade's voice in the background, and you see the blade being unveiled as the Ebony Blade, and so he could take on the mantle of the Black Knight, which pretty much gave him the power to pretty much cut anything while going psychotic, was the curse of the Ebony Blade.
Right. I mean, that would have been really great to explore, like on film, just to see like that backstory of like, the Black Knight.
Well, I think that's the plan. I think he's supposed to get a standalone or possibly team up with Blade.
There hasn't been a lot of rumor about that going around though.
There's been a lot of rumor of a lot of things at Marvel, given the current state of things.
I know. So they may just take a step back, and
I mean they should. I think we've all seen the trailer for the new Blade video game.
Mm-hmm. Looks amazing.
That looks amazing. So like, if you're gonna put that out, you might as well go ahead with the movie, I think. And like I said, I mean, that's the best way if we were to bring Ghost Rider in. Because then when you do Ghost Rider, I mean, there's just so many kind of ways to go about it. I think that would be the best way to get the Fantastic Four at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because Reed Richards and Mephisto, they had a long-standing kind of rivalry.
Yeah, they did. They did. Yeah, I mean, like seeing those two kind of cross over would be really cool, actually, to see on the big screen.
Yeah. Now, for your opinion on Ghost Rider, do you classify him as a superhero or an anti-hero like the Punisher?
Oh my, that's a good question. I think I'm maybe an anti-hero because that doesn't he kill? Like he has the choice of like giving the
No,
penance stare, or
but it doesn't necessarily kill them.
no. But he has a choice, right? You can either kill them or he can give the penance stare, and he usually, I think, typically, like if he's in a fight, like he'll just kill them,
I don't know if he has the choice though. I think he's compelled. I think that's one of the catches and kind of the things with the spirit of vengeance. Is that he is compelled by that force to give to kind of give judgment, and he to some degree cannot control. I think that's, you see a lot of that in his comic books. I know you might not have read a lot of issues, but he definitely fights with it kind of greatly because the spirit's just there to consume vengeance, and as it keeps consuming, it gets more and more powerful. I think at one point in the comic books, you see his transformation, like he grows horns, like in Loki, as it keeps consuming more and more.
Wow.
Which is why Mephisto kind of is afraid to a degree of the spirit, because it was worshipped a long time ago. I think in one of the comic books, I can't remember which one it was. And he did have this demon like encased in stone because he did have some fear that it would surpass him and or rise.
Oh my God, I would definitely love to read that storyline. It's just, it takes Ghost Rider to like a whole new level, far beyond what we've seen on screen so far, and just make him almost like an Omega level type of, character.
There's a lot you could, again, there's a lot. The biggest one I think was it the first Avengers? I don't know if you've seen the title for that or the picture.
The first Avengers.
Yeah, like Odin was in it. Like the first Spirit of Vengeance who rode like a woolly mammoth that was like set on fire. There was someone that was like the first Wonder Woman. I haven't read it, but I've seen the pictures, and that would be one that I would love to see done more with for that Ghost Rider.
It sounds pretty badass, to be honest. Oh, I see her here, right? Yeah, I see it. That looks pretty great, actually. Him riding a woolly mammoth. Yes, that would be really awesome to see. Wow. And he was kind of like a caveman, right? I see it.
Well, he was worshipped back in like the day as like a god.
Yeah, I see it.
Like I said, the spirit, technically the demon spirit, however you want to classify this, has been around for a long time. That's why I think for the MCU, this is a great character kind of to introduce as Johnny Blaze, because gives you access to so many characters that he's interacted with through the years.
Mm-hmm. No, it'd be definitely be great, especially if you're gonna go more of a darker tone, like with like you have Johnny Blaze, you're gonna introduce Blade. Hopefully, you'll have the Black Knight in there, with the Ebony, and just have like their own kind of like supernatural, like leaning more heavily. Get Doctor Strange more involved in it, stuff like that. So I think that'd be a really great and different route to go for the MCU. It'd be something that they haven't really delved into heavily before.
Well, besides the Scarlet Witch, I don't know if we can consider Doctor Strange in the MCU have crossing the kind of the threshold for that in terms of magic or that realm of the MCU.
No, like I said, like the Multiverse of Madness did delve like in like supernatural, but not as heavily as, let's say, like Doctor Strange Part 1, did. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now it's funny you do bring up the penance there, because I think that's the move everyone is familiar with, especially from the movie.
Yeah.
Obviously he brings about all the evil deeds, and makes people kind of face kind of their own evil. There is, I believe, one time he did try it on the Punisher, but it did not work, because the Punisher feels no guilt over what he's done, because he's done it for the greater good. So the penance there does not work on anyone that does not feel like any remorse or guilt over the sins that they've committed.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, I think there was an issue where he actually did it to Galactus, and it just like destroyed him because of the millions upon millions of worlds that he like destroyed. So,
But like even in the movie, when he tried to do it to like Blackheart, who was like, it doesn't work on me. I have no soul. So
right.
there is a kind of a give and take to that power.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's familiar with his normal power sets. And usually when you say demon, most people know what that includes. So
Yeah.
Hellfire, Fire Blast, his chain. That was, I think, the biggest thing.
Hmm.
And that's, I'd say it's not like he really evolved after that. It is interesting that he could take some items and imbue some of his energy into them and kind of use them with the Ghostrider energy, but
Right. Yeah. I mean, like his vehicles, I mean, for sure, like the classic motorcycle, in his shield, he had a muscle car, that he transformed into
well, I
his.
was about to say that's the big thing with Robbie Reyes was I don't know if it was a Charger or Impala, but that was one of the big things with Robbie Reyes, because I think Carter Slade was his was a horse. Obviously, we said the woolly mammoth for the first Spirit of Vengeance. So
Right. Right.
you definitely see a lot of iterations
Yeah.
with that.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And I know we brought up about the Punisher earlier, and a lot of people, like always said, like they felt that maybe like the Punisher would have been a better vessel for the Spirit of Vengeance, right? Because the Punisher is all about vengeance.
Well, I think he did at one point. He is the
Yeah,
Spirit of Vengeance.
there is a version of him.
Cosmic Ghost Rider, I believe.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Cosmic Ghost Rider. Yes, it's when like it's basically like it was the Punisher is the only living human left, right? And the Ghost Rider, found him and they became one. And then Galactus came to find the Avengers because Thanos was running amok in the universe, and there was no one left. So, Ghost Rider slash Punisher teamed up with Galactus to become the new herald of Galactus, imbuing all the powers that Galactus has. And there's even like a storyline where he went back in time,
Well,
and
that's where it gets really weird, because
yeah,
I think there's
yeah.
two different stories. One where he went back in time to kill Thanos as a baby, but then ends up pulling like
Like a
what?
bit, like he actually not killing him and bringing him in,
Yeah,
like raising him or something like that.
kind of pulling a hangover, and just like carrying the baby around, which was weird.
Yeah.
But then I think there's one storyline where he becomes like a herald of Thanos, and like the Hulk as like the Maestro is like his pet, who like has eaten all the heroes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm pretty sure there's a storyline like that. I'm not 100% of that. Let's see, but
But anyway, yeah. I mean, a lot of people think that, yeah. I mean, like Johnny Blaze. I mean, obviously, original character. But I mean, like, yeah. They just feel like maybe like the Punisher would have been a better vessel. Like I mean, even for the mainstream media. But then again, then you have like crossing over with those two characters. So.
yeah. So yeah, he did serve Thanos and he died. And then when he went to Valhalla, Odin resurrected him, sending him back to a point of his choosing. And then he kind of goes he tries to go back in time to like save his family. So yeah, Cosmic, and it's true. Punisher probably is a better vessel. But then when we look at this storyline, I mean, are we seeing Like, if you gave the Punisher more time and not at a time of utter destruction, the powers of the Ghostrider, would we see a different Marvel universe?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he probably wouldn't hesitate to take out the heroes either, you know. So,
But I mean, in what way do you think we would see it different?
well, I mean, like I think the Punisher would not just go after supervillains, right? I mean, like, not just thugs, but he would go after like big game, like Doctor Doom. He probably would go after Thanos. He probably would go after. He probably would like was like, you
But
know
what
what?
about like Moon Knight?
I don't know. I mean, like he may share like a kindred with Moon Knight, and he might not want to kill Moon Knight because they share the same goal, you know. So
They do, but is Moon like would the spirit of vengeance be compelled to give vengeance to Moon Knight?
yeah, but I mean that
Moon
that
Knight's
would be
dishing out his own form of justice.
yeah, but Moon Knight doesn't attack innocents though, because and that's what Punisher's all about. Punisher and the spirit of vengeance is all about like hurting people who hurt innocent people. So,
Correct, but as we saw, the Cosmic Ghost Rider did serve Thanos.
yeah, yeah. Well,
He
that's
did.
because I feel like he didn't have a choice though, because like
Did he though? Did he?
humanity was gone, and so
Did he
he was looking.
though? Ooh, it'd be a different thing.
Yeah,
Almost like a Deadpool kills the Marvel universe.
yeah.
Like would I mean, well, that's the other thing too. Could you give the spirit of vengeance to anyone and corrupt them?
That's a good point.
I
I
mean, what
mean,
would happen if Captain America had, like had a fire shield that he threw? Which number one, I would love to see that.
there has to be like a what if,
No,
like
I believe there's fan art, but I don't think there's a story. I've got there's very good fan art of like a Ghost Rider Captain America where he throws a shield with like a skull on it in flames,
right.
for sure. But like at that point, is Steve Rogers, is he kind of corruptible to this demon that kind of inhabits his body?
I mean, because I mean, isn't the spirit like, I mean, like, don't they feed off of like other people's like vengeance or like revenge, right? Isn't that
Yeah, I
like
mean, to a degree.
like one of the, yeah? I mean, so
And then like that point, like how do we say revenge like in total or vengeance? Like obviously back in the day, like once if he had him before he was frozen, and does he get vengeance for Bucky with the Red Skull?
hmm right, right. Uh, I I mean, that'd be interesting to see. I mean, like Captain America would have to hold a lot of hatred in his heart.
And I mean, well, as we've seen, I mean, again, another character that has done that. Maybe we haven't seen him go full send, but we've seen him get pretty close to that line.
Yeah, no, I mean, like even Wolverine might be like a better vessel for Ghost Rider, because
Well, and they've recently kind of tackled that with the newer series, Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Alpha and Omega. I think that's a running series now. I haven't read a lot of it, but they did kind of cross that. It was the Helverine. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not.
You should look that up right now.
I am looking up. Hold on.
Yeah, it came out maybe a couple months ago. It was a two issue special, and I think there is a current issue run of it, but I'm not sure which comic book it pertains to.
Let me see here. Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. That looks pretty badass, actually.
So I mean, there's ways to do it. It's out there.
Yeah, yeah. Now, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to
I was
interrupt
gonna
you.
say too, what would we do if the spirit of vengeance got to a very powerful person? like Charles Xavier, and he could telepathically tap into whatever person for vengeance.
Yeah, he could basically just telepath his penance there to anybody, you know, and
I mean,
yeah, I mean he could. Because, I mean, especially if he has that machine that Professor X uses, you know, to find mutants and
Cerebro.
stuff. Cerebro, yeah, yeah. I don't know.
What they say? It was Spanish for brain.
And according to the movies,
Yep. Did you ask your wife?
yes, I did, and she actually saw. She goes, "No, that's not how it's.
Nope.
That's, no,
You
that's
have
not
offended me and the temple.
how." Oh man. Should we move on to talk about the film now?
So yeah, with the film, number one, I love both of them. The second movie is definitely better, and I think that's because Marvel gave up after the first movie. It didn't do what they thought it was going to do, but I don't think it was the acting necessarily as much as it was a script writing issue, and they kind of picked and chose like what part of the Ghost Rider they wanted. Or the second movie, when they did Spirit of Vengeance, they kind of realized like, oh, this is just a passion project. You know, here's a little bit of money, do what you want. We'll see what we can do like with it. And you did get a very good movie out of it.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Uh,
out of the two, which one did you like more?
to me, Spirit of Vengeance on the sequel was more true to the comic book modern take of it. One had a decent origin start. I think it just tried. Marvel was trying very hard back in the day to get a foothold in the movie business. I mean, did Ghost Rider come out before Iron Man?
Yeah, I think even Spirit of Vengeance came out before Iron Man,
Yeah.
actually.
So I think like that was Marvel's really like their first kind of attempt, kind of even like after Spider, like they hadn't really found out the formula for making a superhero movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is before the MCU and before
Yeah.
Marvel, decided to like take control over their movies, and they just, lease the characters to studios.
Yeah, so I think that was an ambitious character to do without having that formula. And I do think Ghost Rider did suffer because of that.
Yeah, probably. I mean, because like a tighter budget, so like some of the things, like for instance, like it was set in Europe, so which maybe made the production cheaper. You know, the CGI wasn't, besides for the Ghost Rider itself.
It was decent.
Besides for, yeah, it was really good actually. But like I said, and it was just a different take on it. Like even camera wise, and like the way they shot it was very different from like the first film. And
Yeah.
like Eva Mendes wasn't in the second one at all. You know, um,
Well, I mean, technically she shouldn't be. Because in the end of the first movie, she kind of came to understanding. He kind of told her that like, I love you, but like we can't be together because I'm cursed and I'm just gonna keep running into danger, so you need to be far away. So I could at least look past that. That
Yeah.
was kind of wrapped up in the first movie.
yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, like I feel like the second one was like a little bit of almost like a reboot slash sequel,
Yeah.
and yeah, but I mean, I thought it did very good. I mean, I'm super glad they kept Nicolas Cage, and I like how they made like the Ghost Rider, the spirit look like smoky, kind of like the skull was more dark, like kind of like ash,
Yeah.
and I thought they did a really good job.
And my only problem with the second movie is when they did Spirit of Vengeance again, there was only one time in the comic books where they said that Zarathos, which is the name of the demon presiding in the Ghost Rider, that he was truly an angel who was tortured by demons and went like out of his mind. Like that's the the mythology they went with in the second movie. It was only hinted at in the comic books. It was never like confirmed like this was a renegade angel that was like captured. It just said it was angel-like. It was spirit-like.
Yeah, I think what they really wanted to do was like show like the blue flame that's really
Yeah.
was in the comics as well. I mean, like it was a really popular version that people really gravitate towards. You know, kind of like a Ghost Rider with blue flame, and I think they wanted to capture that in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I've always wanted to know, kind of outside of the film talking, is Marvel Zombies. Can someone bite Ghost Rider? Was he involved in Marvel Zombies? Did someone bite the Ghost Rider, or was he immune? I mean, in Ghost Rider form, like, how can you infect him?
No, I don't think he was immune. I'm pretty sure that he'd. Hold on, let me see this. I think he.
Like, obviously, if you bit Johnny Blaze before he transformed, yes, 100%. I understand exactly how that works. But, like,
But would the spirit be affected? Would he just leave?
well, if you infected Johnny Blaze, I have to assume that, but, is the spirit, like, kind of like the Hulk, like, is it a separate entity? It's kind of a separate entity within him.
Right. You know, I don't think he was, dude. I don't think.
I don't think he was ever a Marvel Zombie.
No, he was not. I don't think he ever was a Marvel Zombie, to be honest. Because I'm trying to find him right now, and they just show. I mean, they show him fighting zombies, but never that he turned into one. I think. So. Well, because he's. I mean, like you say, he's a spirit of vengeance. So
Yeah, number one, he's on fire. So if you're biting through, and there's no tissue to bite, so you're biting it like essentially, I guess, a bone that he's transformed into. But it's also technically, I guess, in that form, he's more astral, ethereal, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Right.
So I guess are we saying he is immune to zombies?
I think it's a safe bet to say that. Yeah.
All right. Well, you heard her first from Alex.
Yeah. I hear it from
Ghostrider, immune.
Immune. There you go.
Don't worry. You're going to be getting a phone call really quickly from Marvel. How dare you confirm that?
Right. You don't work for us.
You don't know what we're about. You don't know what we're developing here. How dare you? Who gave you the right?
Right. Did you write Ghostwriter? No, you didn't write him. All right, so so shut up.
Sit down. Yep.
Oh man. So my thoughts about Ghostwriter, really compelling character. Like any writer can take him into different directions. Obviously, there's been various versions of him, throughout. Like I said, we mentioned Robbie Reyes, Johnny Blaze being, like the our mainstream, character.
Yeah.
And we just talked about like him going bonkers and going to like the cosmos, with Galactus. I mean, there's tons of interpretations and tons of opportunities that you can take with this character, and obviously he's endured it. He's definitely one of the more darker characters in Marvel. Like we've talked about how DC, leaned into like the supernatural and like the dark supernatural with their characters. And I think Marvel, this is one of the very first characters that's delve into like the darker part of that supernatural. You can count Doctor Strange if you want, and I'm sure there's other supernatural characters that obviously I'm not bringing up, or remembering, right now. I mean, like, I know Magic, she had opens a portal into hell. I mean, that's pretty badass.
Magic. I mean, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Blade. Essentially.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if Marvel's just afraid, kind of doing it. But outside of a very few characters, there's not really a lot that touches, I guess, basic, kind of on it. Because I mean, Morbius, again, living vampire. Blade, half vampire.
Yeah. I mean, I do think DC still does a better job at their supernatural characters, but I just feel that that as far as like if you think about like Marvel's supernatural characters, I feel like um, Ghost Rider's the first person in my mind to pop up, So
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what we consider like the supernatural. I mean, technically, DC's got Swamp Thing, Marvel's got Man Thing.
that's very true.
Very different, but the same. Man Thing is only, I'd say, supernatural just because the whole thing of his power is if you show fear at the touch of the Man Thing, you burst into flames.
Right.
That is one of his powers. But then, like every other person that I think of, I feel like is somewhat of a villain. Was it Damien Hellstrom?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a villain, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Damon
Yeah.
Hellstrom. Yeah, they made like a TV show, didn't they? On Hulu.
They might have. I can't remember. Morbius. That's a hit or miss.
It all depends who tells him. Who's telling the story of Morbius. I mean, I'm remembering a version of Morbius where he's the son of Dracula. There's a version of Morbius where he's just a scientist that got bit by a radioactive vampire bat.
Yeah.
So it all depends.
I guess Werewolf by Night. More recently.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Ghostrider, I would say out of the supernatural for Marvel, Ghostrider is probably overall, I guess, the leader. The leader of the supernatural.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of my favorites, and I remember Hasbro trying to like get money, to have like this this toy made of like Robert Reyes, and you're able to like change the head of a Ghost Rider and like change the wheels where they're regular or they're inflamed, and it looked really cool, but it just never, it never made the money, to put into production. So, but that would have been cool. I have a couple of Ghost Rider figures, in my storage, just because they looked really cool. He's just a really visually, like cool character.
And now you gotta give them to your sons.
Oh yeah,
Totally. It's like, well, let's pump the brakes there.
I might want to keep him for me. All right,
let's not get crazy. All right. Any final thoughts on Ghost Rider?
No, he's just a really fun character. I mean, I really have not had any issues with any interpretation of him. Really,
and as we talked about, he's one of the few characters whose interpretation has, for the most part, remained untouched. There wasn't like, like the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, which that's a whole nother issue for another time. Those back and forth origins. Ghost Rider is one of those characters that just maybe they did do some retconning or they've gone back, but for the most part, he has been the same.
Yeah. I mean, and because I mean, he's just this is a character that like has a need to change it. There's no reason to, but they have done it. They have changed them, a lot, But I mean, no matter what version or who's inhabiting this Writ of Vengeance, it's just really fun to read. So,
for sure. All right. Well, that's been another episode, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this inaugural first episode on video. You can find this on wherever you get your podcast from, and hopefully soon you'll be seeing this on YouTube and Instagram in the videos. Everyone, have a good night.
Good night, everybody.